Welcome back to Chat Shit. This is a review of the Carlton Blues 2025 season.
Well, after a return to finals in 2024, Carlton came into 2025 with serious expectations. They had the Brownlow medal winner as well, but those were derailed early. A shock round one loss to Richmond set a tone for an inconsistent, injury-riddled season. Despite flashes of brilliance, too many stars underperformed, leaving the Blues frustrated and searching for answers.
Absolutely pissing down here at the top. Marcus has kicked it. Jesus! Usain Bolt wouldn't get him now.
The legend becomes immortal.
Yeah, look, we're going to jump into the highlights of Carlton's season, but first, I'm going to call us out. Last year, early in the year, I think around 6 or 7 in our weekly video, we did a segment of the 5 teams that we think will be the most successful in the next 5 years. And we both had Carlton as first and second in the next 5 years for most successful teams. So I think we read this team completely wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that reflects just how disappointing this season was. That's from 2 Swans fans. And I think I'm not excusing ourselves, but generally the consensus was that this Carlton team with, Walsh and Cripps leading this midfield, Curnow and Mackay and Wiedering and all these really strong players with Michael Voss at the helm, that they were going to be a powerhouse for quite a while. And it's really come crashing down this year. And then they've lost a lot of key players, which we're going to get into, but just to show the scale of expectations versus reality here. Now, to jump into a few of the highs, George Hewitt, he was already a solid player, but broke out as almost as good as Patrick Cripps this year in their midfield, or better. Wiedering re-signed, who is, such an important player for them. And Francis Evans is a player that I just want to mention who had showed flashes of brilliance, really, in the second half of the season.
Well, my breakout player was Harry O'Farrell. Looked excellent early as a key defender. Not easy to be a young key defender, but for an unfortunate knee injury ended his season, but promising signs that Carlton have found that reliable long-term pillar down back. My surprise performer was Jack Silvani, obviously not there anymore, but after being left out entirely in 2024, position switch saw him thrive in defence, forming that strong partnership with Wiedering. As for the lows, obviously Jagger Smith, their highly touted recruit, never got to debut. They had injury carnage across the year. Patrick Cripps looked mentally drained, and the team clearly missed that on-field spark, but he'll need a proper reset to discover that Brownlow level form.
Yeah. Look, we know he can get there, and they've got a lot of players that have some quite high quality, but they didn't get anywhere near enough out of those players. I think they maybe weren't as injury ravaged in their top end talent as it sort of seemed like. They didn't really get anything out of Curnow or Mackay when they were fit. Both had some solid games, but there wasn't enough consistency there. But then, as you said, the injuries did disrupt their progress throughout the year. But regardless from that, I think that they were really lacking outside ball users. I can't think of anyone on their team that was a consistently, productive ball user in the half-back line or on the wing.
I think Nick Newman missing the entire year was a big part of that as well.
Yeah, and then when you look at the 3 guys that were there, Sam Doherty forced into retirement, Blake Acres regressed significantly this year, and Adam Sard is just getting older and doesn't have that same explosiveness that he used to. So that's a part of their team that they really need to develop.
And as for a rating for 2025, I gave them a 3 out of 10. Just felt very disjointed, injury-plagued, and very much below expectation.
Not disjointed as us today, because I've also rated them 3 out of 10.
Okay, let's move straight into the trade and draft period. They've got a few ins. Ben Ainsworth from Gold Coast, Campbell Chesser from West Coast, Ollie Florent and Will Hayward from the Swans, and Liam Reedy from Freo. As for the outs, obviously Charlie Curnow was the big story of the trade period. They had Tom de Koning as well, Elijah Hollands, Sam Doherty, Jack Silvani. A lot of huge outs for Carlton.
Huge.
It's a bold trade period, a little bit risky. Losing Charlie Curnow and Tom de Koning obviously hurts, but bringing in Florent and Hayward adds a little bit of balance and speed. But one of the most aggressive list reshapes of 2025. Looking at their draft picks, they do have picks 9, pick 11, and then some picks later in the draft. They got Cody Walker, who's a top 3 prospect in father-son selection, so that little bit of youth injection well-timed before Tasmania enters the competition. And I think they're about time they had this little list refresh.
Yeah, I agree that it's time for a refresh, but not in the sense of competing in the next year or two. There seems to be this, quite a positive perspective that, Hayward, Florent, Ainsworth are going to be great additions, which I completely agree with. But in terms of their capacity to really compete as a finals team, they're not going to be able to fully replace Curnow, De Koning, Jack Silvani, these very, very, mega talents that they've lost.
The key position pillars.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think that there's an aspect of rebuild mode here. They have good young talent. It's not an all-out rebuild where they need to be getting rid of everyone and investing in all the draft picks, but I don't think they're making finals this year, and they should just be trying to develop players and get the most out of them. Try to find, I'm talking about outside ball users. Maybe Sam Walsh is his long-term role is as a winger or a half-backman, or at least to spend some of the game there to give them some spark. So that it's time to start experimenting with things on the field, I think.
Well, let's look into 2026. I just want to start with a superstar up-and-comer and make-or-break player. Superstar, George Hewitt. So consistency and leadership through the midfield when Cripps had a down year was huge for them. Up-and-comer, I found this a little bit tough with Carlton, but I got Cooper Lord. So quietly solid in 2025, showing some good growth over 21 games. Could become a dependable contributor in 2026. And my make-or-break player, I had Sam Walsh. So elite talent, but needs a massive preseason to get back to his best. We know he's injury-riddled and really struggles to play consistent footy, but we know how good this guy can be, and if Carlton are going to do anything in 2026, they're going to need him to play every single game.
Yeah, absolutely. And where do you have them finishing on the ladder?
I have them finishing in 14th.
So do I. I've got them in 14th as well.
But I think they need to be sort of in that finals race and sort of build momentum throughout the year with the signings that they've made. Maybe they don't make finals, but I think they don't want to be out of contention with a couple months to go.
Yeah, and you mentioned it at the very start of the video, but so excited to see Jagger Smith, and hopefully he can have an immediate impact on their midfield.
I mean, the way people talk about him and the way I've seen other people talk about him on other podcasts, David King especially, is that Carlton is really, really high on this bloke, and this guy's going to change the way their team moves, bring that necessary speed. But then again, he hasn't played a game of AFL footy yet, so a bit tough to put so much pressure on a young player. But I'm keen to know where you guys see Carlton finishing in 2026. It's not easy to lose so many key position players.
Yeah, Carlton fans, AFL fans, let us know, do you think that they have a realistic chance of making finals? And, do you think that maybe with Curnow out of the way, will that bring the best out of Harry Mackay? And, with Will Hayward as a second man, let us know. Are they better than we think?
We'll see you all on the next one.